Okay. Good morning to all of you. We're happy to be here this morning to say a little bit about how can data mining and data pooling support the operational success of terminals by means of state-of-the-art simulation systems. So I would like to introduce Professor Dr. Holger Schütt. He's Managing Director of akquinet Port Consulting based here in Bremerhaven, Germany. And I'm Oliver Jelsch. I'm Head of Sales and Business Development. And I would also like to introduce Mr. Fabio Antunes. Fabio, would you like to say a few words about yourself? Thank you for being here this morning.
Thanks for inviting me, Oliver. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is Fabio Antunes. I work for APM Terminals at the Global Operations Department. And as a department, we are responsible for supporting the terminals with capacity and productivity improvements and layout analysis, among other operational aspects. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Fabio. Good to have you here this morning. Okay, Holger, what is your experience with simulation on container terminals?
Yes, Oliver, as you know, we are working here in the field of simulation, especially for ports and terminals, for over 30 years now. Quite funny, at the beginning, I was on the other side of the table. I was the client who bought this simulation system. At that time, I was working for HHLA, the terminal operator in Hamburg. And yeah, there was one project, the Altenwerder terminal, the fully automated one in Hamburg, which was from the first idea until going live, supported by all the means of simulation and also emulation, which means connecting the simulation model to the real TOS. But this is not part of the story today. So 2 years ago, APMT decided to use our tools, the ChessCon simulation tool as well as the virtual terminal, how we call the emulation, in the headquarter. And yes, I think that's my experience. And now we should take Fabio into the.
Thank you so much, Holger. Thank you for giving us your impressions. So Fabio, thanks for joining us this morning. Fabio, what's APMT's view on simulation systems? Could you give us a few more information?
Well, Oliver, thanks for inviting me to speak with you. That's a very nice opportunity for us. Our first view on simulation is older than 2 years ago, but until that point in time, until we met ChessCon and akquinet, we didn't have yet a tool that could really fulfill our needs. So we had this chance to evaluate globally a tool that could support our business better on top of the tools that we already have. And we found ChessCon as the best in the market for us to be used and to support our terminals globally. And the idea of having that at the headquarters level was mainly to have the leverage to cover the whole portfolio, not only a single terminal, and bring in the leverage of the expertise of akquinet within us to ramp up our results. And luckily, this is so far, since 2 years ago until today, partnership that's been growing. We have used the simulation several times, and we have built several baselines for terminals to be simulated so far. We still have the support of akquinet team with the terminals layout built, with the first steps, and also with consultancy and improvements in the tool itself. So so why we are using this? It's mainly because we want to bring a better product to our customers, to our terminals. We want to help them in a different way. We want to use something new, more dynamic, that could bring results and could be more visual. The tools that we have today, that many terminals also have, is mainly based on calculations, but pretty much static and in-house built. So ChessCon could build this expertise in this visualization and simulation dynamics to be the complementary factor for many analyses that we have been the need of having so far. So that's in a nutshell.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much. Just, could you tell us a little bit more about what have been your first experiences when using ChessCon, your personal experience maybe?
Well, my first experience was in the terminal that we have in US, Elizabeth. So in practice, we have had the chance to develop the simulation in there, and it's as a starting point. Once you get to know the tool, you see the level of details and how rich the information can be in there. I realized that was much more than what we have used in our own in-house tools. So I could notice the difference and all the additional information that the simulation, the Chesscon, was adding to that analysis. And we decided to use that in one of our terminals, like in New Jersey, mainly because the tools that we have been using there was not yet bringing us the expected result and the expected visualization that we needed for a few cases that we need to observe in there. Results are great so far. We have the terminal ramping up their own activities, but there is still, if I may say, baby steps in what we have as a vision for APMT to use simulation in the whole portfolio. So because of the good experience that we had in that terminal and the potential that we see for the future, we wanted to do this step further with akquinet and have a relationship where we can improve the way we APMT use the tool. Knowing that behind the scenes, we have our asset digitization platform and we have our TOS platform being standardized, that those platforms could support us to work faster and to work smarter, not harder. So to have data coming from our standardized platforms directly connected into Chesscon would be for us a gold mine. So today we noticed that it takes quite some time for us to capture the inputs, to build the layouts and everything as preliminary steps before producing the analysis that will really bring us the results. So in that step, akquinet is helping us to improve, and we are working in partnership to build up this way to make this data input be automatically from our system transferred to Chesscon. And once it's done, we will be able to cover our portfolio much more efficient and much more, I would say, faster. So I don't need to have hundreds of people working and harvesting the inputs, which takes time from us in headquarters and also from the terminal, because when I demand information, it takes time for the guys on the ground to do so. So that will be a win-win for all of us.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you so much. So I have already answered maybe a question that would have been, what are you expecting from this approach? You all have already answered all that. And I'm, of course, quite happy to hear this. Okay, Holger, what does this approach fit into the roadmap of Chesscon? How does it fit into? Could you give us maybe a view for the future?
Yes, of course, Oliver. It fits very good because at the a typical simulation project needs a lot of time, not especially the effort, but a lot of time to collect data, to get all the information that you need to build up a model, to build up the scenario of a terminal. And step by step, in the last years, we developed tools to directly read this data. And this fits wonderful to this project with the asset digitization. Fits wonderful to our ideas because now we are able to read the scenario directly out of the cloud of APMT in the headquarter, where they have data from all their terminals and all information that we need for the scenario will be taken out of this cloud. And this is a wonderful step which fits to ours. Other steps that we are doing at the moment are looking at the layout. So we are part of the Port ML initiative, which is yes, an initiative started from Singapore together with some Chinese people, with Europeans, and we are part. Last October, there was a big celebration of course, in a virtual way about this PortML initiative. You find information about this if you're interested under www.portml.io. And yes, this will help us to, or will help the terminals, the users, to import a standard layout definition based on this initiative to build the model, the layout of the terminal, together with a scenario that we get from Fabio that he described. We can start a simulation more or less semi-automated. But that's not all. We also have a third initiative, and we are very close looking at the TIC 4.0. This is the standardization of messages between equipment and yes, the control systems, not only the TOS, all other systems, GOS and so on as well. And this initiative will, or is defining just this week. They published the first paper about telemetric data, how this should be standardized. And we will take this data to put it into the simulation tool or the emulation tool. And with this, we do have a digital twin, a real digital twin. It's the digital twin. This simulation model is all the time on the same state as the real terminal. And it's not only to look at it, it's not a 3D visualization only, but this digital twin is able, on the one hand side, to forecast the future, what will happen within the next hours. It will show you perhaps bottlenecks on your terminal. So if you look at out of the window, you see real colors. But with a digital twin, you can also show, oh, this crane is under productivity, under his expected productivity with only, let's say, 26 moves per hour. So it will be shown in yellow. And perhaps if it's under 20 moves per hour, it will be shown in really bright red. Yes, you're right, Oliver. This will be also a nice thing. And the third one will be if we use all the data from the equipment. The digital twin is not only simulation of the processes, it's also contains all data from the equipment, from sensor data, the fuel status, the loading status of the batteries, whatever. Everything can be shown, and you can use it for a predictive maintenance, which is also a step. We have first steps with this as akquinet, for example, with Still, the provider of forklifters. So this fits wonderful together to really have a digital twin, yes, a live model running besides the real world, which will give you, or will give the industry, so much more opportunities to improve the operation. And yes, visit us at the TOC in September and our booth, and we can talk about this much deeper.
For a free coffee and maybe a free beer.
Yes, maybe.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thanks for your time and thanks for your information.
Fabio, do you have any additional comments?
Well, I'm looking forward to the next step that we have in our partnership. I hope we can achieve our mutual goals, akquinet and APMT, within this journey. We start with the end in mind. We know where we want to be, and we are consolidating the steps hand in hand with you. And luckily, this is only the beginning of a good and everlasting partnership. Who knows? Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fabio.
Thank you.
So, and if there are any questions, please ask us.